Okay, here we've got a session where we're doing Berger 105 6 mils. Just pop the projectile on. The first thing we're going to do is zero it, and go into the settings for that because it's manual at this point in time. And well, the buttons are a bit twitchy, so we want to zero course adjustment, so ZC, and that's going to move it up and down. You can see the reading R is going up and down. There's a fine adjustment and we wanted to get to that, but it's skipped past it. So now we're working on that. We just do a little bit at a time. The reading we're after is 512, which is the mid-range, or close to 512, which is the mid-range of the analog to digital converter. So what we've got in our readings here, we've got the difference, and 873 is just because it hasn't been cleared. We've got the reading, which is the absolute value from the sensor, and we've got the digital analog converter, which don't really need to worry about, and we've got the temperature over there, which hopefully won't change too much. Now, the measurement basically involves placing the projectile on and pressing the clear button or the zero button, which you can see there, and start rotating, and try and not wobble it. And that one I redid it because 17 is very close to the threshold I was using for batching. So yeah, so we'll just watch what happens. That's not a good one. The batches I'm using are less than 10 is good. Anywhere from 10 to 16 goes into the OK pile, and anywhere under that, see this one I'm going to do again because it was pretty close to the 10 mark, and you can see, yeah, another good rotation. It was actually under 10, so that one was good. This one's very good. You see, it didn't even get past 6. So, but I'm going to do it again just because I bumped it. Yeah, that's a pretty good one, that one. Anyway, just going to let it run and we'll see how we go. Now this projectile is very interesting. I'd found this one before because this is actually the second run of batching it, and I wanted to redo it for and video it. So this was probably one of the worst projectiles in the batch, but the main thing is how dramatically the value can change even with the tiniest of rotation. I'm not tipping it here, I'm not bumping it off, and I'm only doing the smallest amount of rotation, and it's jumping from pretty much nothing all the way over to 30. So yeah, worth noting that these sorts of projectiles are actually in there. See, there was an example of me bumping it, and it just goes straight off. But that particular projectile was pretty bad from the batch. one of the things I'd like to note is that when we started we had a temperature of 94.0 and we zeroed it with a reading of 541, but you'll see that the temperature reading's gone up to 95, and you'll see that the measurements have actually dropped down to about 470, around that range. And that's an indication of how this can drift with respect to temperature increases. That 95, that's just the raw analog to digital converter value, so it's not a degrees Celsius or anything like that, obviously, or Fahrenheit, which someone might mistake it for. But yeah, the temperature drift is a bit of a problem in a long session. If you wanted to compare individual projectiles, just put it on and run an average and go, oh, this one's bigger than that one. You could do it if you did them back to back, but at the end of the session, the first one wouldn't be able to be compared with the last one because of that temperature drift. So for determining an individual projectile's roundness or suitability, the difference is great, and you can handle it just using that. You can determine whether the projectile is good or not. Okay, I'm going to revisit the projectile that was really bad, and just show off how little movement causes such a dramatic change. You can see I'm barely rotating it, maybe 5, maybe 10 degrees maximum, and the change is so dramatic. And you can see there's really no blemishes or bumps or anything on the projectile to really indicate that there's something wrong. Just sort of checking it around where it's in contact, and it just on the outside it looks like a normal projectile, but on the inside there's something very, very wrong with this particular one. So that's how this device works. It's able to penetrate. Predominantly it works on the external shape, but there is a degree of internal measurement, particularly related to jacket thickness. It can't detect the lead because the lead's has no magnetic properties. So yeah, it's just the way it is. Now this is the end of this particular session. We'll just summarize how that went. Got another one here. This is the box for them. So they were Berger 6mm 105 grain. You can see the product number there. If you use these, you know what they are. This was what went into the worst category. These were generally good, and these ones were very good. So you'd save these ones for when it really counted, but you'd use those ones generally.